Hello mates, welcome to the Baron Reviews with me, the Baron. And I thought I'd do a new little story time video. This week, a little bit of a cautionary tale. So let's pull up the old brush here. Let's see what we do today. Same old problem I have every single time I do this. Never know what to choose. We go with wet paint. I almost always go wet paint. Yeah, let's go wet paint. Oh, actually, marker. Yeah, no, let's go wet paint. Let me see here. So this is a little story. I don't know why it was on my mind. This is an old story. This is from way back when I first came to the United States. And I was an immigrant, and one of the first jobs I ever had, the first job I ever had actually, it was in a hotel. I was working as a, as a bellman for this really chic boutique hotel. And so, you know, because I was a bellman, I would be able to kind of like wander on my own and stuff. And so like I spent a lot of time with the doormen there, because, you know, there'd be downtime, and the valet guys who would like wait out front near the door. Got to spend a lot of time hanging out with those dudes and like becoming friends, and it was great. We were child at the time, and there was this one intriguing character. Or you know what? This is a make this mistake every time. I need to make sure that I keep this in focus so you guys can actually watch what I'm drawing. Unless you're watching this in V-Reel, then you can watch it from any angle. But I met this one guy, a real nice dude, and he was always kind of like, he was always trying to talk about like money making schemes and like ways he could make cash and stuff like that. And he told me his story this one time about what happened. He said before he was a valet guy, he had this really good stable job for this computer company. Now they used to sell some kind of, I don't remember what it was, and even if I did remember what it was, I probably shouldn't go into too many like specific details. I don't want to get the guy in trouble. But it was like some kind of hardware that computer companies could use for their businesses. Now, as I say, I don't know exactly the ins and outs of what that is and stuff like that. But yeah, he had this good job anyway, and he was doing it. And so what he would do was companies would call his company, and he was kind of like the middleman, and he would like deal with the client, ship them off whatever computer parts they needed, whatever this specific piece of hardware was. You would ship that off to them, and you know, he would order the parts from, I think it was from Korea, and you know, send her off and all that good stuff. So he noticed that after working this job a couple of years, oh whoops, I did his arms are the wrong color. That's okay. He was doing this job a couple of years, and he noticed that, you know, these computer parts are going for a fortune. Like, let's say, I don't know, I'm pulling numbers out of my ass here. I'm gonna say like, you know, but it was a lot. It was like, say, 12 grand or something like that, you know, for these computer parts, this computer hardware. And he just had this thought, you know, and so like he, oh whoops, let's do this. Let's have him on the phone. How about that? He was thinking, you know what? He sees how much he buys the parts from Korea. It's like a fraction of the price. Let's say it's like $1,000 or something like that. And then his company has this huge markup, like 12 grand. So they're making a profit of, you know, $11,000. And he was just thinking, geez, that's crazy. So he suddenly had this brainwave where he thought to himself, wait a minute, I know where these computer parts are coming from, and I know the people who buy them. So why wouldn't I just buy the computer parts and cut out the middleman and sell them direct to the clients? So you're probably guessing where the story's going. That's very much, you know, not okay. Most of the time, So but he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So he did it. So he quit his job, and he, working from his house, he was able to contact the distributors from Korea, the same guys that he would buy these computer parts for his company. He contacted the same guys. They knew him because they were used to talking to him for years, so it was nothing crazy. And he bought himself, I think it was like one or two of these computer hardware parts. Then he went and he called up the clients that used to work, or they used to buy from his old company. And he said to them, like, hey, it's me. And they knew exactly who it was. He said, I have computer parts, and, you usually buy these from, whatever the corporation is. He's like, I'll sell them to you $5,000. And they say, well, wait a minute, like, it cost us $12,000 to buy it from the company you used to work for. And he's like, yeah, that's it. That's the beauty part. Like, I'm not gonna gouge you. So needless to say, they were like, fuck yeah, like absolutely. Like, this is a little telephone where I don't know who uses these telephones these days, but so they're like, yeah, absolutely, it's amazing. So suddenly, my mate was in this situation where he was buying these parts for like, $1,000 and selling them for $4,000 profit. Like, now again, I'm plucking these numbers out of the air, but it was something to that effect. So he's like, like, that's nuts. You know what I mean? Imagine that. Imagine having a job where all you have to do is order a computer part. I mean, you were doing it anyway in your old job. Order from abroad, get the part, call the client, say, yep, I have the part you want to buy. I'll sell it to you for cheap. They say, yep. Mail it to them. Boom, $4,000. It's like a month's work in like one single product. So it was going really good, and it was kind of like one of these get rich quick schemes that was like coming true kind of thing, So he gets carried away with himself, and he that's supposed to be a belt, but it looks a bit weird. Hang on, I'll try it. A strange kind of 3D effect going on with his trousers. So anyway, he is really into this. And he decides, this is a real easy get rich quick scheme. And I'm gonna scale this up a little bit so I can just face. So he goes back and he starts to buy more of these pieces of hardware, this time in bulk. I think you can see where this maybe is going. And, say he buys 10 of them or whatever. And so now he has more hardware. So now he's got to go and he's got to get more clients. So he starts expanding his client list into other clients that the corporation had, and saying to them, hey, I got these cheap goods, the same goods. I'm just not going to gouge you. All it is going to be $5,000. And he gets the clients. They are on board with this. So suddenly he's selling like, $10,000 or 10 products at a markup of like $4,000 a pop. He's making a fortune. In a couple of months, he's making more than he could ever have imagined. So then he gets greedy. And, up to this point, he was flying kind of under the radar. He goes and he thinks to himself, this is the ultimate get-rich-quick scheme. So he goes and he uses all the money he has, all the money he's generated so far. He gets all his credit cards, maxes them all out, spends all his savings that he has, and he buys a ton of them. Now, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something bananas. It was like thousands of these products. I think he said he had something ridiculous, like $200,000 worth of stock or something like that in this piece of hardware, and just filling up his house, with this stuff. And so, this is it. This is the big dream. It's going to happen. So he calls his clients. He's doing what he does. And suddenly he calls the wrong client, I guess you could say, because he calls an ex-client and he says, I have these hardware pieces. You used to buy them from the company. I'm going to give them to you for 5 grand. And that client goes and feckin' calls the company, calls the old boss, CEO or whatever, off my mate. And he says, hey, it's just no, like, this just getting my attention. A guy, I believe was an ex-employee of yours, he just called me and he just told me that he's going to give me the same piece of hardware you're giving me, but instead of charging me 12 grand, he's going to charge me 5 grand. So what are you going to do about it? So this client was actually trying to gouge the corporation. It was actually trying to make the corporation compete, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's a story of true greed in a way. And so the corporation were like, what the So, they contact my mate. And the unfortunate part is you're not allowed to sell that product in the US. Apparently, there was some kind of clause there that you need a special license to sell this computer part. I'm not sure if it's because it's a military part, or I'm not sure exactly what the deal was there. But yeah, you're not just any Joe can sell this. You need a very special, very expensive license to sell this computer part. And the fact that my mate was selling it means he was liable to be sued to the fucking high hills. And he was. So they sued him. The company sued the hell out of him. And he ended up owing millions. And he's just a dude, you know what I mean? He didn't have a company or anything like that. He was just selling out of his garage. So yeah, he gets annihilated, just ruined, just financially ruined. And to make matters worse, they say to him, he's not allowed to sell those products that he has. So basically, all the stock he has, $200,000 or so of stock, can't sell it. In fact, they tell him he has to destroy it. Which is imagine that. Imagine you have to go and destroy $2,000 worth of stock. No, he doesn't actually destroy it. He couldn't bring himself to it. So in the end, he ends up storing it. What color wall would he have? It's kind of red wall. He ends up storing it in a, what do you call those? Like a U-Haul or no, not U-Haul. What do you call those? Storage containers. And then the irony is, he's paying $50 a month or whatever the hell it is to store items. He's paying that a month then to store that stuff. So it's burning more of a hole in his pocket. The irony of it. But anyway, he can't pay. He can't pay that kind of money. He can't pay the millions that he's been sued for. So they have a judgment that says any money he earns it'll be deducted from his bank account as he gets it. So he's ruined. He's ruined. There's no money he can make fast enough to, he'll never make that kind of money. He'll never make millions of dollars. Second of all, even if he stops selling the product and just gets a normal job, like he did, he can't live because any money that goes into his account will get siphoned out. And all his credit cards are maxed. Everything is maxed. So he's fully ruined. Basically his life in the first world has ended. You know what I mean? There's nothing he can do. So it's looking pretty grave. So what he ends up doing is basically abandoning his whole life, his whole bank accounts, everything he has, he can now no longer use. He sets up a new account in, I can't remember what it was, maybe a credit union or something like that. Under the radar, doesn't report it, and that's where he can get some wages now. But if they ever found out, they're going he's going to be trashed. And that's just how he survived. And then he survives by, working as a valet guy, like $2 an hour, just making tips, and then just like living off the tips. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So he just went from this like the highest point to the lowest point. You know what I mean? This is not a bad little drawing, I have to say. That's supposed to be like greenery outside. I don't know if it looks like that. And it's just, yeah, he had it all and he lost it all. It's crazy, isn't it? And he was always like, he was always talking about like get rich quick schemes. I think, there's people like that in life, They want to just earn money fast and they're willing to take risks and that kind of stuff. But my God, like talk about what could go wrong, eh? Anyway, that's the story. To conclude it, I don't really know what happened to him. This was a long, long time ago, many, many, many years ago, when I first moved to the United States. And I lost touch with that dude. I tried to keep in touch with him when I moved away, but I didn't. So I don't know what happened to him. I don't know where he is now. I don't know if he ever got back on his feet or... I don't know. I hope he did. But that's it from the Baron. I'll leave it there for today. Thanks for listening to this little story time, guys. And until next time, cheers.